Thank you, everybody, and welcome to the regular monthly meeting of the Mayor and Council, Tuesday, May 26, 2026, starting at 6:32 p.m. Missy, could you please call the roll?
Mayor Nunziato.
Here.
Council President McGowan.
Present.
Councilman Coakley. Councilman Errico.
Here.
Councilman Guzman.
Here.
Councilwoman Del Ricon.
Here.
Councilman Mazzone.
Here.
Thank you. If you're willing, please stand for the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Misty, could you please read the provisions?
In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Law, Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, notice of this meeting was transmitted to the Record and Herald News and filed with the Borough Clerk on November 21, 2025, and is posted on the bulletin board outside of Borough Hall.
Thank you, Missy. We do have one presentation. Councilman?
Thank you very much. Is anyone here representing Moms Demand Action, the Bergen-Passaic chapter, Toby Murphy? Okay, I know I had reached out to Robin Plankus from their group, and she said they were going to try to get some members here, but coming off the holiday. So, Mayor, with your permission, I'd just like to go ahead and make a few remarks and then go ahead and read the proclamation.
Sure.
So, for those who aren't aware, Moms Demand Action was founded on December 15th of 2012. The day is very significant in that the day before was the Sandy Hook school shooting that occurred in Newtown, Connecticut. I think the work that has been done with Moms Demand Action really exemplifies what grassroots movements can do, turning pain into purpose for community members. Personally, my family and I have been very active with Moms Demand Action, and I'm just, proud of our borough for putting a proclamation forward. So with that, Mayor, I'll just go ahead and read the proclamation and then make sure it gets to the Bergen-Passaic chapter. This proclamation is the National Gun Violence Awareness Day. Whereas gun violence remains a significant public health issue in the United States, where nearly 125 people are killed and more than 200 are wounded by firearms each day, contributing to an average of over 19,000 gun-related homicides annually. And whereas in New Jersey, approximately 400 people lose their lives to gun violence each year, representing a serious public safety crisis and a significant public health and financial burden on taxpayers. And whereas gun violence continues to impact communities across the nation, including incidents of mass shootings, homicides, suicides, and unintentional shootings. And whereas, although recent data suggests that gun violence and homicide rates have declined in 2024 and 25, the issue remains a significant concern requiring sustained prevention efforts. And whereas gun violence disproportionately impacts certain communities and urban areas requiring targeted evidence-based intervention and prevention strategies. And whereas cities and towns across the nation, including Rutherford, are working to end senseless violence through community-based and evidence-driven solutions. Whereas protecting public safety in the communities they serve is among the highest responsibility of local leaders. And whereas the Second Amendment supports the rights of all law-abiding citizens, goes hand in hand with efforts to prevent access to firearms by individuals who may pose a danger to themselves or others. And whereas elected officials and law enforcement are uniquely positioned to understand and address the specific public safety needs of their community. And whereas in January 2013, Hadia Pendleton was tragically shot and killed at the age of 15, and in recognition of what would have been her 29th birthday, June 2nd, 2026, people across the United States will observe Gun Violence Awareness Day and wear orange in tribute to her and all victims of gun violence and their loved ones. And whereas this movement was inspired by Hadia's friends who choose the color orange because it symbolizes the value of human life worn by hunters for safety. And whereas individuals across the country can participate by wearing orange on the first Friday in June each year to raise awareness about gun violence. And whereas by wearing orange, Americans raise awareness about gun violence and honor the lives of victims and survivors. And whereas we renew our commitment to reducing gun violence, promoting responsible gun ownership, and keeping our communities and children safe. Now, therefore, be it resolved, Frank Nunziato of the Borough of Rutherford do hereby proclaim Friday, June the 5th, 2026, to be National Gun Violence Awareness Day, and I encourage all citizens to support their local community efforts to prevent the tragic effects of gun violence and honor the value of human life. Signed, Mayor Frank Nunziato. I would just add that community members, I hope that we can count on you to wear orange on Friday the 5th. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. I'd also like to thank you for your involvement during your time in law enforcement with the help at the Sandy Hook incident. I just want to thank you personally.
Thank you, Mayor.
We'll move on now to the changes to the agenda. Missy?
Yes, under the consent agenda, we'll be updating resolution number 116. And also under the consent agenda, we'll be adding item N, resolution number 124, for the reappointment of Michael Tarantino as OEM coordinator. That's all I have.
Thank you. Anybody else from the council have anything? Seeing none, I ask for council consent. May I have a motion, please?
Motion.
I have a motion by Councilman Guzman. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Council President. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Council President McGowan? Councilman Errico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Del Ricon?
Yes.
Councilman Mazzone?
Yes.
Thank you. Ordinances on first read. Councilman Guzman.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I have a motion on ordinance on first read to establish a four-way stop at Summit Cross and Eastern Way. Missy, would you please read the ordinance by title only?
An ordinance to amend and revise Chapter 126, Vehicles and Traffic of the Borough Code of the Borough of Rutherford.
Motion to move the ordinance be passed on first reading and advertised according to law.
I have a motion by Councilman Guzman. May I have a second?
Second?
Second by Councilwoman Del Ricon. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Errico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilman Del Ricon?
Yes.
Councilman Mazzone?
Yes.
Thank you. Ordinance is on second read. Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. This evening, under second reading, is the amending chapters 131 and 50. Missy, can you please read the ordinance by title only?
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 131 of the Borough Code of the Borough of Rutherford to create a B1 affordable overlay zone and to amend Chapter 50-11.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to move that the ordinance be passed on second reading and advertised according to law.
I have a motion by the Council President. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Mazzone. Now going to open up to the public for any public comment on this subject and this subject matter only. Anyone wishing to speak? Please state your name and address for the record and keep your comments to 5 minutes or less, please.
My name is William Frampton. I'm at 65 Chestnut Street. I am concerned about the development on Ames and Kipp Avenue, the funeral home. Most personally concerning is a large tree behind my house. There's a branch that I'm sure will be in the way of the current plan for the development. And I just want to make sure that my concern about tree destabilization would be registered. I don't want the tree to fall on my house after the branch facing away from my house is whatever they do with it. I have a couple other concerns. The document I received in the mail said that the side setback would be a 5-foot yard on 52 Kipp Avenue. It seems too small to me, a 5-foot yard. I did speak with somebody in the Planning Commission, and they said it might not stay as a 5-foot yard, but I just, there is actually currently a row of mature trees that seem to have been there for at least 50 years. And in addition to this setback just seeming too small for the area, I have noticed that there seems to be a new safety issue on Union Avenue and Chestnut Street, also concerning setbacks with the new apartment building. I've noticed complaints from other residents about the safety of just being able to see to the right. I guess to be able to see around the new apartment building. So if that can be kept in mind with this new development, I think that would be great. But my personal main concern is the 63 Chestnut Street tree. I just don't want that to fall on my house. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time, sir. Thank you for coming out. Anybody else from the public wishing to speak on this subject? Seeing none from the public, I'm going to close it to the public and open up for any council comment. Anybody from the council wishing to speak? Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank you for coming to share your concern. They are officially a part of the record, and by way of this conversation and the borough administrator being present, I would just like us to make sure that we are reviewing particularly the request about the tree and potential hazard to the property owner who spoke today. And then the rest, I would imagine, would become part of the questioning process if and when this project moves forward. So thank you for putting that on the record today.
Thank you. Anyone else? The only thing I would add is the corner of Union that you discussed. I know that several other people have brought this to our attention, and it is actually being addressed, and I'm sure that we'll have internal conversations, and Councilor Guzman and I will definitely be speaking to that as well.
Mayor, may I add something?
Sure.
Just specific to this overlay zone, the front yard setback is 15 feet, so it is significantly back. So the concern you had on the Chestnut and Union will not be the same situation here. And I'll keep an eye on that tree for you. I'll talk to our professionals as they go through the process.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, we're going to do a roll call on this now.
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Errico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilman Del Rey-Cohn?
Yes.
Councilman Mazzone?
Yes.
Resolution separate from consent. Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. Next is resolution number 122, awarding a plenary consumption liquor license with conditions to 9 Dishes, Inc. Motion.
I have a motion by the Council President. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Guzman. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Errico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman? Yes. Councilman Del Rey-Cohn?
Yes.
Councilman Mazzone?
Yes.
Thank you. Hearing of citizens. Anyone from the public wish to speak? You know the drill, Mr. Rowland, right?
Eddie Rowland, 7 Clark Avenue. It's 2 blocks away from 436 Union Avenue, which is where John Yannick lived his entire life. He is 74 years old. He is now at Bergen Regional under psychiatric evaluation because of his lack of ability to take care of himself. He probably has developmental disabilities that weren't diagnosed since birth. His school records were accessed, and we have the information that he went to special education classes, special services. He is also, according to the doctor who talked to him, most likely in states of dementia. He has lived in that house his entire life. He was taken care of by his 102-year-old mother until she died and was in hospice. She missed 1 tax payment while she was in hospice at 101 in 2019 before she died the next year on Valentine's Day. That is why he is not in that house. That tax lien was taken by DB Tower, Deutsche Bank Tower, for about $60,000. About $15,000 went to the tax lien and the penalties, and the rest went to a premium for the general fund for Rutherford. So now the whole town is in on taking this man's house. Adult Protective Services went and said, oh, we think he's fine. Then why did he lose his house? Social Services here said, I'm so proud of the work I've done with this family for the last 8 years. Then why is he homeless? He was in the park for over 100 days. People have seen him dressed in women's clothing. He was wearing his mother's clothing for a few years because he missed her. He missed how she smelled. I asked you people in person and after a council meeting a couple months ago to come talk to him, to meet with him. I texted you, Dennis. I told you where he was. You didn't come and talk to him. He stayed at my house for about 30 days, non-consecutive. He wanders up and down Union Ave, sometimes to the Circle, sometimes to the Passaic. He doesn't understand that he has a bank account with money in it. He actually has a couple $1,000s in his bank account, but he doesn't know how to access it in any usual way. He gets a couple dollars out. He doesn't have an ATM card, doesn't know how to use a cell phone. He's a victim. He was victimized. I have all the public information, the public records. The county doesn't want to do anything. The person who interviewed him from the Adult Protective Services was surprised. He's like, you know, why is this guy homeless? Because he believed John when John talks about fantasy about being a World War II pilot or a tank commander. They don't do the math that he wasn't even born yet. He pretends to be a police officer. He pretends that he's a spy. He's childlike. I don't know what else could be said about a person who is just either by design or omission just left to die in the park. That was his plan. He won't sign paperwork to get income housing, low-income housing in Passaic because he's afraid of the word institution. He's afraid of being institutionalized. He was tricked. He never hired a lawyer. Lawyers were assigned to him, and he sold the house to himself as an executive for $1 and then was removed. He doesn't know how to do that. He didn't know how to do any of this. He was brought into the municipal court on 13 charges of trespassing, urination, defecation behind the school. He knows he shouldn't do that, but he didn't know what else to do because he can't go back into his house. He is confused at this very moment about why he's where he's at. He bled through 2 shirts and his jacket because he rubs his back against the tree because he's got cellulitis. His knee is swollen twice the size of his other knee. He's finally gone to the doctor for the first time since the 70s, but he's scared. He's scared to come into a council meeting. He's scared to come to the library. He's terrified of Genevieve, that he failed her. I think it's the other way. She failed him. Maybe Bergen County failed her too. I don't know, but the problem is he's willing to die on the street. The GoFundMe raised about $20,000. We kept him in a hotel, the Winslow Hotel in Lyndhurst, with the drug addicts and the hookers, because he doesn't get lost from there. We found someplace less expensive, but he wandered the wrong way on the highway. He wandered towards Kearney because he doesn't know how to get places. He doesn't know how to use a cell phone. He's afraid of losing it, so he leaves it plugged in wherever. In the 30 days that he's been at my house, sings karaoke, plays Scrabble, I could see how someone talking to him for a minute might think he was, oh, he's fine, he's just fooling around, he's goofing around. But then he'll talk about the different stories that recur with the theme, that he was abused by his father, that his house was taken from him and he doesn't understand why. How do we fix it? The judge dismissed charges for the trespassing, the public urination, defecation, because John didn't even know he was in a courtroom. Didn't understand that. He thought he was watching a TV show or reading a book, he's confused. I have all the information in that bag. Deutsche Bank took his house for $60,000. He did not get the equity. It's about $490,000. He cannot get Medicaid or extra help from social services in Bergen County because they don't understand why he doesn't have that money. There's a law in Minnesota that was supposed to protect him. Didn't happen. Why is this? His last residence, his residence is 436 Union Ave. On some of the paperwork, they gave him some address of 586 Union Ave. That's the bridge. You got things filled out by Notary Public. He hasn't had ID since 2017. Had he signed these papers in 2020? We got him ID, we got him Social Security benefits coming in. We have things progressing, but then there's a retracement constantly because he gets confused, because he gets scared. He lived here his whole life. I can provide the public records and any details that anybody wants to know. Fix it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rowland. Anybody else from the public wishing to speak?
Laura Ninger, 54 Lincoln Avenue. I have two issues. First of all, let me quickly mention yet again the empty lot at 50 Lincoln Avenue. Next door to me, this is has a dilapidated warehouse and a garage, which even the Neglia folks have called a code violation. These structures are falling apart more by the day. Somebody did some repairs. I could have done a better job on these repairs. It would be good if someone drove by sometime and looked at what's going on with this property and these buildings. However, the main reason I'm here is about something else entirely, parking in Rutherford. Now, most of this is my opinion, so if there are facts I have wrong, please tell me. But to proceed, parking in Rutherford, specifically on Park Avenue, and the use of the safety sticks. I have several issues with these devices. First, what I see is apparently a lack of disclosure. I had no notice these things were coming. I read the Mayor and Council newsletter. I think it's very good, by the way. I don't recall seeing anything about these safety sticks. And by the way, if I accidentally call it a selfie stick, that's the way I kind of think about it in my mind. So yeah, well, the time I found out about the safety sticks is that I got caught. I was guilty, yes. So this happened one day when I pulled off Park Avenue to avoid double parking, and I avoided a hydrant, and I left my wife in the car, and I said, if anybody needs to do whatever, move the car. Well, so anyway, I was gone maybe a minute. I had no idea the stick was there. You can't even see it from inside a car. And like I said, I didn't know it was there. I think we need better disclosure that these things exist, and I think information should be posted on the stick. Now, if it is, I haven't actually gone up and looked at one of these sticks, but I don't think there's anything on it saying, you have a minute and you will get a $55 ticket. I think disclosure is always good. People can make their minds up whether they want to take this risk or not. That way, when you get your AI-generated ticket, you'll know that you were bad and you deserved it. The other thing I don't understand is why the sticks are there. Yes, I've heard that they're for safety, but in my opinion, they're not punishing the right people. The sticks penalize people who actually pull over, but they do not penalize people who block the roads by double parking. I would like to see actual police people who can write tickets to people who are blocking the road, which in my opinion is more dangerous anyway, and for moving violations, which in case any of this is about raising money for the town, so you don't have to raise taxes, I get it, that makes sense. Moving violations surely are bigger ticket items than standing at the side of a curb. How about ticketing the drivers who swerve around cars that have paused to let pedestrians walk, or cars that are speeding on the street, or people who are texting while driving And we see all of this when we demonstrate every Thursday night in front of the post office. The driving is pretty crazy. Next topic is, I believe the safety sticks are overly punitive, and again, because the time limit is so short. I don't know what the actual time is, but it's obviously not enough time if someone legitimately wants to just pull over quickly, do something quickly, and then leave, or go find a more permanent parking spot. I read on Facebook that someone got a ticket on Park Avenue while letting off a person in a wheelchair, and I hope I don't have to explain why that is, to me, an outrage. I think that's wrong. The time limit, in my opinion, should be longer on these things, like I said, and the amount of time should be posted on the stick so people know, and the amount of the fine. And also, while I'm talking about disabled people, I wish police would ticket able-bodied people who park in handicapped spots. This way, I don't have to run after them and yell at them, which I've been known to do. So some people on Facebook say the safety sticks are a non-issue. Shut up, talk about things that are more important. Just park far away and walk. Well, I do this, but I am able-bodied. I don't have dependents or disabled people in my car. I have the time. I'm retired. I can stroll anywhere. But this is not true of everybody. And the Kip Avenue parking garage, although I use it, is dark, very small, hard to maneuver in, and it's just not very close to a lot of these businesses. The final issue that's related to this, and I know this is settled business, but I think these are bad for businesses, and I think the same thing about the parklets for a lot of the same reasons. Yes, I know the parklets have been decided, at least for this year. People say, oh, they only take up 8 parking spaces. Those people apparently have not counted the very few number of parking spaces on Park Avenue, and in my opinion, every single spot could make a difference. I met somebody yesterday whose brother owns a business on the street, and I said, what do you think of these things? And well, they hate them. Why? Because that particular business doesn't have a parklet. The people who have the parklets have spoken like they are critical to supporting the very existence of the town and the downtown, the Park Avenue area. I don't really agree with this. I think they're good for the businesses that have them. And I think they shortchange every other business on Park Avenue by taking up these parking spots and contributing to the problem with the selfie stick issue and double parking. So to wrap this up, in my opinion, for next year, I think the parklets should be eliminated. I think they were an important strategy when COVID was here, and until the next COVID, personally, in my personal opinion, they're not making things better. As long as the businesses know well in advance to plan ahead, they will not have a parklet next time. Also, I think if the safety sticks have been programmed to the small amount of time that they have, they can be reprogrammed. That would be great. And also, if it says, you have a minute, and ideally, if it had one of those blinking lights that you know that it's about to, like when you're crossing the road and you're about to run out of time, I don't know how practical that is, because I know they were probably a big investment. But if they merely had the information on them and a little bit more of a time limit, then people who actually have kids or disabled people, and this is not just, old people like me. It could be your 16-year-old son broke his leg, and needs to get somewhere. I just think, we need to take better care of people who need, assistance and not be overly punished for something rather small, while other people get away with much more dangerous parking and driving related infractions, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Laura, I think that Councilman Guzman will address many of your concerns about the safety sticks as liaison for the police department. I just wanted to acknowledge that you always come here with real information. You tell us what you hear and then what you learn and what you devise. I'll give you my opinion on the safety sticks, but Councilman Guzman will speak to the main issues. My opinions are The safety sticks were installed. I think we did put it in the newsletter in the March timeframe. The borough administrator can tell you exactly when we disclosed it. Were installed to alleviate a problem that I think involved a lot of delivery drivers parking in ramped areas on the curb and blocking for uniquely abled individuals who are trying to get up onto the curb, leaving their cars there for quite a while. I feel very torn about them. I'm going to be the reason why is they are put in places where people should not be parking legally. So in that way, I'm okay with there being sort of a ticketed sort of result from folks parking where they shouldn't be parking. I agree with you about the moving violations, and I think both of those things can be true, right? We need to be vigilant about moving violations, which I hope our police department is as vigilant as possible, and we need to be vigilant about parking. I think my views on the parklets, I stated last time, I do have very specific views. I don't think those views are relevant to this year. But I am a person that does think 8 parking spots is a lot. I said that at another meeting, so that will be something that I think we will rehash when the businesses, to your point, have a little more notice. So the parking, the safety sticks, I do realize are a very complex issue in the community. I think the intention is to ticket folks who really are parking where they shouldn't be. I wish there was a way, and I'm not sure there is, to account for the fact that folks may be parking in that way to drop off a disabled family member, someone who has an injury, someone who's elderly. I don't think they're quite that sophisticated. I guess part of me is happy about that because AI scares me, and there's probably a way to eventually do it. But I'll let Councilman Guzman speak to that. What I really wanted to speak to more was Mr. Rowland. Obviously, you've spoken about Mr. Yannick quite a bit, and I'm aware of your concerns. And the first thing I want to do is thank you for caring for him. I know you care for him a great deal. You obviously brought him into your home. I'm going to tell you sort of where I am at on this issue personally. And I'm not going to speak to, it makes me a little uncomfortable that we're publicly speaking about his medical condition. I don't know if you're his guardian or you have power of attorney and you're able to speak to that, but I won't because I don't think that's appropriate. But what I will say is it sounds like you're describing someone who desperately needs medical care and is in a system that's very difficult. And I take severe umbrage with the implication that our social services office here somehow did a disjustice to him. I know our borough administrator has had extensive conversations with her, and she described a lot of what you described from what I understand, that, you know, at times he has lucidity, at other times he doesn't. There were many individuals who I believe tried to get him out of the park, and he was afraid and he was fearful and all of the things you describe. I watched the GoFundMe that was created with a little bit of a heavy heart, knowing that that was a short-term solution to a really big problem. I'm glad that you got him somewhere warm, but it sounds like it wasn't necessarily somewhere safe. When you say do something, I'm interested to understand what you think that is after what you just described, because I'm not sure what more there is to do other than to get him what sounds like critical medical care, both psychological and physical care. It sounds like he probably is the home situation, which it has complexities that I don't understand. I don't think it's my place to understand it. Maybe some of it's public, maybe some of it's not. But either way, we're talking about an individual that needs critical care. So there is no point at which I'm going to interfere with that if you think he's getting care right now. You know, if he's at the hospital, if he's under care, it sounds like he needs a guardian. It sounds like he needs someone to care for him. And I don't know how you find that as a politician in a system that has guardrails that may or may not be working. I hear you when you say the county may have failed him, the government may have failed him. My husband works in this area. This is all he does for a living, and the system is broken. I absolutely agree with you. The system is broken. But to me, there is a moment in time where he needs medical care, it sounds like, and psychological care. And If you think there's a way, if I can help you find resources to do that, through whether it's through my husband's work or through other organizations, I'm happy to do that. But, you know, all of the stuff involving his house and all the other things that occurred with his money, I believe you said he's receiving benefits from, you know, he's receiving aid of some sort, maybe Social Security, Social Security. So I'm happy to work with you to get him those resources. I don't know what more I can do than that, right? And it's a tragic situation. I'm not denying any of that. I heard your voice crack at the end. I get it. I really, really do. I don't think blame lays at anyone's person's feet, and I really just wanted to say publicly, I really don't think it lays at the feet of our social services offices here. My understanding is Genevieve cared for him a great deal, really, really cared for him and his mother. So I think that we just need to be clear about the work that she does. And, you know, sometimes our best work in a broken system is still, it dilutes our ability to do the work that everyone wants to see happen. So if you would like me to put some resources together, I'm happy to send them to you. I know how to reach you. If you want me to reach out to folks that are in those organizations, I know you're working with some other people in town, but if you want to send me the resources you've tried so that I can see if I have a contact somewhere that may make that easier, I'm happy to do that. It is a tragic situation. It really is. But I don't think it's as easy to say, do something, other than finding him more help, which I'm happy to try to do.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Anybody else? Councilman?
Thank you very much, Mayor. Laura, thanks for coming in. Appreciate your comments. Regarding the safety sticks, the police department put out a lengthy explanation of the safety sticks on November 13th, 2025 to the public. They explained exactly the reason for them being there, and which obviously is for parking violations and for mainly for safety, obviously for pedestrian safety. The borough and our police department our first and foremost is public safety, pedestrian safety. Okay, we had a lot of people parking where they shouldn't be, and therefore this is the result of it, because we can't have police officers there 24/7 sitting at every single corner in the borough waiting for a car to pull in. But the safety sticks can accomplish that. It's not a budget thing, it's simply about safety. And this came highly recommended by our professional teams here. If you go into several other towns around Bergen County, you'll see a lot of towns are now installing the safety sticks. Time-wise, the amount of time, I don't know how that is actually established. I'll have a conversation with our chief of police and our borough administrator, but rest assured that the time that they're putting in there is for certain reasons. To put it simply, you shouldn't be parking there. Okay, we take care of one issue, you say it creates another one. I get it. At the end of the day, we have to try to cure the issues the best way we can. We've had this issue going on for a very, very long time of people illegally parking. So this was the best way we can address it. Is it perfect? No, it's not. But I will say that whenever a incident occurs at the safety sticks, those reports are sent to the police department. There is somebody there looking at the video, at the evidence, and there's a decision that's made whether it should be put forth, the summons should be put forth. So unfortunately, there's a lot of traffic in downtown. We've been dealing with I've been dealing for 30 years, as long as I've been here. There's always been traffic downtown. There's always been parking issues downtown. It's a small area with a lot of impact. So I wish I had better news for you about maybe them going away. I don't see them going away because they are helping. Should we try to establish an area of drop-off zones? I don't know. Perhaps we can. That's a discussion I will definitely bring up with the professional team here. But when we say drop-off zones, that means now we're going to give something, take something else away to accomplish that. It's always a give and take here. So I appreciate your comments. I will definitely review what you had to say tonight with our borough administrator and our police chief, and see if there's any improvements we can make, but I don't know if there are. I'm not going to promise them until I get to talk to them. So thank you very much for bringing your concerns in. I appreciate it.
Council President?
Thank you, Mayor. Laura, thank you, as always, for coming forward and sharing your thoughts and your follow-up, your continued follow-up. I know some of these topics are things that I feel like we've circled back on annually, so I apologize that we're still having the same conversation, particularly about the empty lot, but it is noted, and we will follow up on it, and as always, we'll follow up with you directly. Mr. Rowland, I want to acknowledge the passion of which you just shared that entire story and how personal, deeply personal this story is. And not just in the way that you shared it in this room tonight, but how you have been sharing it and keeping it alive in our community to bring awareness to just quite how dire this situation is. I'm not going to comment about any diagnoses or out of respect for him and understanding HIPAA and the fact that without him being here to grant us permission to speak about things so personal, one of the things you've championed quite loudly is about seeing him as a human and respecting that dignity. And so I want to honor that by not acknowledging some of the conversation, but I do think that you raise a very saleable discussion of which those of us who care for fragile populations who are easily the victims of broken systems. It happens very, very frequently. This is one of those absolutely awful, extreme situations that one thing after another just kept breaking down until he is in this tragic situation. I'm frustrated in myself right now because you at the end said do something. And I literally sat here and I thought, what is it that I have the power to do in what you're asking for? I have the power to reach out to our representatives at the county and at the state and ask them to do a better job of advocating and providing resources for mental health and care for individuals in crisis, particularly those who may not be able to advocate appropriately for themselves. I did that just a few months ago, championing something very similar and close to this. I don't know that I, in this capacity, sitting here, have the ability to adjudicate some of the challenges that you are presenting, but I do hope that there is a space where representation for him, for himself, either in getting the right legal care, as in guardianship, to allay some of the concerns that you are presenting, and to provide that necessary support so that the benefits he may and most likely should be entitled to are forthcoming. I remain open to working with you to reach out to Bergen County Office of Disability Services to see if there are avenues or vendors that they use that provide services pro bono that perhaps can connect some dots to start helping to find a way for adequate and appropriate representation. The most heartbreaking thing to me, outside of the fact that we're talking about a human being, this is just a rampant issue for individuals who are unable to care for themselves. And so I appreciate you bringing this to the forefront and keeping it as a part of our conversation. I apologize that I don't know that I have an answer to the question, do something, but I know that I'm willing to try to find something to help along that journey. I think it's going to be a whole bunch of somethings. It's going to need a lot of somethings. And I readily admit, beyond my own expertise. But I appreciate the fact that, you know, you're taking it upon yourself and your family to do what you can to help someone in great need. And I think he's quite fortunate for that. So I just wanted to acknowledge you for that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councilman?
Thank you, Mayor. Just to add a comment on the parking 6, Laura, thank you for your comments on that. It occurred to me that we do have 15-minute parking spots on Park Avenue, and I'm just, brainstorming a lot. I wonder if those spots are maybe not being utilized appropriately. I believe the intent of those spots is for drop-offs and things of that nature, and I wonder if people might be overstaying the time limit on those spots. I don't know the enforcement of that, but maybe that's something we can explore as well. I know when I drive down Park Avenue, I often see those spots are occupied, and maybe it's by people that are there for longer than 15 minutes. I too have small kids, and obviously it's difficult to find parking and drop small kids off for various events, so I understand that pain. And with regards to Eddie, I don't have anything substantive to say beyond what my colleagues have mentioned, but I do want to, again, acknowledge, and I know you didn't come here for that acknowledgement, but acknowledge the kindness and graciousness and love that you've shown someone in need of help. I think that's extremely commendable, and I know it's sincere in your case. So I just wanted to publicly say thank you for that. And if more people like you donated your time and effort and energy and love to people in need like John, I think the world would be a better place. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman?
Thank you, Mayor. So the first thing I wanted to say was to the parking. It's my understanding that the 15-minute spaces do have safety sticks at those spaces. So there would be a timer, I believe, is that correct, Councilman? 15 minutes to be in those spaces. So someone, if they were to exceed that time frame, would then be summoned. So the other thing I wanted to comment on was to Mr. Rowland. Eddie, I've known you for a very long time. We served on the Board of Education together. I know you're a kind human and have a great heart. I know your family well, as you well know mine. I think the effort that you and others in this community did to circle around Mr. Yannick, completely commendable, and I would echo everything that my council colleagues have said. I'm sorry you believe that the borough, local, county resources have failed Mr. Yannick on many levels. I always believe a good investigation, and I think you do as well, is always the route to get to the challenge ahead. And I know you are a person, I know you do your homework, sir. So that being said, I think without speaking to anything that would violate Mr. Yannick's HIPAA rights, I do think that where he is in his journey is at a place where he needs acute care. I certainly hope he gets that. And I'm willing to throw whatever equity I have behind my council colleagues to help get him any additional resources. As everyone was speaking, I'm just thinking as an elected official, what are the other resources we can marshal and bring together that folks like yourself and Aaron, who did a Herculean job, whether it was getting him gift cards for, Ferrazzoli's or putting him up at the hotel. Again, I think all are a testament to this community and how we rally around folks, let alone bringing them into your home. But again, thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you've done. And I'm willing to partner with my colleagues if there's a way that we can ensure that Mr. Yannick continues to get, I think, both the physical and mental health care that he needs. Thank you.
Mr. Rowland, I've got no problem that you wanted to speak, but I think that's a more suited conversation that you could probably have with the borough administrator during the week, and then he can bring it back to us. I mean, that's pretty, based on everybody's willingness to help. Maybe you and Bob could have a conversation about that offline. Go ahead, Bob.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to expand upon or maybe clear up something that Councilman Guzman mentioned regarding the safety sticks and how officers are back, reviewing, the violations. In terms of discretion, and then discretion is not, they like me, I don't get a ticket, they don't like you, you get a ticket. The discretion is more in line with if it's, say, another law enforcement vehicle that pops in that area, we're not going to send a ticket to another law enforcement. Or if something, the license plate may not match the vehicle that's in the description. So there's more of those law enforcement discretionary issues, not necessarily who gets a ticket, who doesn't get the ticket. So I just want to make that clear. Officers aren't deciding who gets tickets.
I was actually going to speak to that, but that's all right. You left out confidential plates, so we're not allowed to disclose her. All right, thank you. And Eddie, I appreciate it we'd all appreciate it if you would sit down with Bob and then maybe we could all come to some kind of solution. Okay. Thank you. Consent agenda items, I'm sorry. Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. All items authorized to be consent by the council will be enacted by one motion. These items are routine in nature. Motion.
I have a motion by the Council President. May I have a second? Second by Councilman Guzman. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Errico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilman Del Rey Cohen?
Yes, except I abstain as to the approval of the meeting minutes from May 11th.
Councilman Mazone?
Yes.
Thank you. We have nothing on new business. Council member committee reports. Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to acknowledge the very moving Memorial Day services held yesterday, although were rearranged due to weather. I want to acknowledge the Veterans Alliance and their beautiful work in this chambers. We had the wreath ceremony and we had the remembrance ceremony in here, and Commander Lebensky, his words were so ridiculously profound. It really just gave everybody a moment of pause about understanding the gravity and the depth of Memorial Day. And so I thank him for his courage to tell his story and his honesty. It was very beautiful. And then, of course, we went to the reading of all the names of the fallen, of our Rutherford heroes down with Post 109. It was a lovely day of tribute, and so I thank them all for their time and care in keeping the memory alive of the men and women who gave their lives for our country. Although seemingly connected, I wanted to acknowledge our borough clerk, Missy Scanlon, who, when all of the decisions were made to change to come indoors, made a point of getting in here to make sure that there was bunting hung so that the veterans knew that this was a welcomed place for them yesterday. And I know you did that on your own time, so thank you for always going the extra mile for us.
It's just OCD.
That too, but we're the beneficiaries of her TLC, especially in this room. So thank you for doing that for everybody yesterday. And also this is an early thank you for the work that you and your office do as we are approaching Election Day. Primary day is Tuesday, June 2nd. I'm stealing everything on Ray's list. My apologies. And so thank you in advance for the good work that you and your team do. You stay here very late, you work very hard with everyone, and you make sure that Rutherford has a safe place to cast their vote. So thank you in advance for that. Mayor, that is all.
Councilman Erica.
Thank you, Mayor. My comments largely echo Council President's. I would like to thank the Veterans Alliance for their extremely moving and profound Memorial Day service yesterday. I found it to be a fantastic perspective on Memorial Day and very impactful. So thank you so much for inviting us and for all the veterans do for our community. I want to thank the Green Team for hosting their Repair Cafe, which happened about 2 weeks ago. It was a big success, and thank you again for doing that. And also to echo Council President's comments about our primary on June 2nd. It's a unique privilege to be able to vote in the United States, and regardless of your political intuition or persuasions, I would encourage everyone to exercise that privilege. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Guzman.
Thank you very much, Mayor. On my assignments, I have nothing new to add, but I would also like to comment on the Memorial Day events that took place. Although the weather was not very pretty, the ceremony and the opportunity to pay respect to those that have fought for our freedom and gave the ultimate sacrifice was quite beautiful. So I was very honored to be part of in attendance and be able to hear the beautiful words that were spoke. Other than that, sir, I have nothing else.
Thank you. Councilman Del Ricon.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to speak briefly to something that's going on outside of Rutherford, but certainly impacts our Rutherfordians. As many of you probably recall, we've had quite a few residents coming in speaking to concerns about immigration issues in this country. We've had Rutherford Indivisible come and speak about those issues. We've also had the Beacon, which is a group of individuals that gather every Thursday outside of the post office just to show solidarity around concerns they have about the movement or lack thereof of our democracy. And I mention that today because we are on the precipice of another election day. And I think it's important to understand that we do have Rutherfordians that are going to Delaney Hall, which is where detainees are being kept by this country, some of them very small, some of them very old, some of them very sick. We do have representatives from Rutherford Indivisible and other residents going out to Delaney Hall to join forces with other representatives of our government who are trying to correct those conditions. So I just wanted to acknowledge that those residents are doing that. I'm going to try to get there myself. I've reached out to Rutherford Indivisible just acknowledging what they're doing, but I think it's important for us to remember as we move into Election Day that if you don't vote, that is complicit acceptance of the way things are going in any government. So it is your right to use your voice. It is a privilege to use your voice. So you should be out there voting, whether you think it's an important election, an unimportant election. I urge you to think of every election as important, especially as we're seeing things go on in this country that are concerning, especially to some of your neighbors. That also allows me to dovetail really easily into the Memorial Day service that we attended yesterday. I echo my council colleagues. I just thought I'd add a little more substance to what you may have missed if you weren't there, because there were things that I learned about the ceremony. There is a different arm of the armed forces, the veterans that get to just present each year. This year, it was the Marines, and as the council president mentioned, Commander Ron Lubensky gave one of the most poignant speeches about Memorial Day that I think I've ever heard. And his focus was remembering that it is a day of mourning and a day of grief. He urged us to think about the fact that we wish each other a happy Memorial Day, and he asked those of us sitting in this room whether we would walk into a funeral home and wish the family a happy day. We probably would not do that. So he urged us to think of saying, have a meaningful Memorial Day instead. But these hallmarks of being an American really come to roost on Election Day. Our ability to protest, our ability to celebrate and mourn those that have given the greatest sacrifice. At this point, our ability to opt into the armed forces, which some of us are far braver than others to do. I know that couldn't be me, but I know that there's a lot of young men and women that decide to take that journey for this country. So as you think about June 2nd being any other election day, I urge you to think that all of these election days are incredibly impactful, and there's enough going on in this country, in this community, that you should want to have your voice heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Maison.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to start by just briefly expressing my gratitude for being able to participate in our Memorial Day services. This was my first time as a elected, and like the others have said, it was quite impactful. I would certainly want to thank those veterans for their service and those who are deployed and serving currently for their service. I don't know what more I can say on it, but it was truly a privilege to be there. And other things around my assignments, I want to thank the Rutherford First Aid Ambulance Corps. On the 17th, they hosted their open house. If you didn't have a chance to stop by, it was a wonderful event. It was a recruitment / community event. They were doing CPR reviews and overviews. Kids were climbing in the trucks, getting a chance to get acquainted with our squad and corps members. Just a great event, a great group of humans that are coming out 24/7, 365 to serve this community. So having ridden in this town for several years, I would just echo that volunteerism is down and that they can always use more help and support. And if you can't participate, donate. And then last but not least, I wanted to thank the mayor, the borough administrator and our PIO for the updates on the borough website around FIFA. I thought it was great to see information out there, not only about the games, but how to navigate the traffic, the information, the resources. I think it's going to prove to be valuable for all of us, and I hope to see additional updates. But thank you for getting that timely information out. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mayor, I forgot one thing. Okay. I just wanted to remind the community that South Bergen Pride Fest is on June 6th. I don't think we have another meeting before that. So that's a week from Saturday. As many of you know, the Rutherford Pride Alliance puts together a pretty remarkable festival every year, and that will be held this year on June 6th. If you'd like to volunteer at Pride Fest, you can find information about volunteering, I believe, on their Facebook page and their website. If you can't find it, you certainly can ask me. But I hope to see you all out there on June 6th. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. We're going to move on to the mayor's report, but while we're staying on the FIFA real quick, recently we've posted, the borough is asking for volunteers for translators for some of the specific games that are being played in our area. Thus far, we have almost 30. If you have a particular language that you feel that would benefit us and you would like to volunteer, could you please go on our FIFA website to our communications and fill out the form if you'd be interested in participating and helping us should your services be needed by the borough. So thank you for that. Now I have one appointment, Maureen Bigley, temporary employee, recreation aide, effective May 27, 2026 at $30 per hour. I'd ask for council consent.
Motion?
I have a motion by the council president. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Delray Cohen. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Errico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Delray Cohen?
Yes.
Councilman Mazzone?
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we have the final hearing of citizens for agenda items and agenda items only. Anybody wishing to speak from the public? Seeing none, I'm going to close it to the public. Anybody from the council? Seeing none, I'm going to close it. And I now accept the motion to adjourn.
Motion.
I have a motion by the council president. All in favor?
Aye.
Have a great night, everybody.